Hello, hello. It's been a long time. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Check, check, check. Stand by, stand by. Can everyone hear me? Check one. Getting some settings correct here. It's been a while since I have been on. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Let me know in chat if you can hear me okay. Sounds good, I'm being told by Thorn. Great. Hello, everyone. I got a few people in chat. Appreciate y'all showing up. I got Thorn, Sean, Solo, Lisa. Hope you're well, Lisa. Griff, also hello. Hope you're doing well. And my dear Starlet popping in the chat to say hello to me. Hope you're well. Salute to you all. So tonight I wanted to just do sort of a catch-up stream and see how everybody was and let you know how I'm doing. Kind of catch you up on what's going on with STARJUMP. And because we've been quiet for about 2 months. Well, about a month and a half. We've been pretty quiet. And just talk about some Star Citizen stuff. Might play some Star Citizen if I'm feeling up to it. But to kind of catch you all up a little bit, I did go on vacation around Memorial Day weekend here in the States, which is the end of February. I always go on vacation for then, and I was gone for a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then when I got back, I spent some time with my wife for a week, just focusing, on us, going on dates, all that kind of fun stuff, because we didn't have our kid with us. And then I got COVID, and that lasted for a few weeks, and it was a slow recovery. And then we had some family stuff pop up, as it does from time to time, and COVID fatigue was just still going. So what was supposed to be a 2-week break for me around Memorial Day turned into a month and a half long break from Star Citizen and really gaming in general. I hadn't gamed very much at all, if any, to be totally honest with you. I did do a few things STARJUMP related, but it was mostly just administrative stuff. So, but yeah, now I'm back. I am fully back now. I'm getting that desire, that itch to do some gaming again, and get back to STARJUMP projects. So I want to catch you up a little bit on Fleet Viewer, Chronicles, and something new STARJUMP is thinking about doing. And we haven't fully committed to doing it yet, but it's something that I wanted to get maybe some people in chat's opinion on and see if that's something that they would like. But anyways, how is everyone in chat doing? Is everyone having a good summer so far? Hopefully. I just recently, it actually been a couple weeks since I had talked to Ender as well, and I got back in touch with Ender, and we did some non-streaming gaming, playing some like online golf, and I think one night we played Monopoly and stuff. Nothing big, just sort of getting back into it. I do like to take breaks from gaming from time to time and focus on some of my other hobbies. I play guitar, I do a lot of 3D animation and stuff like that, and sometimes I need to focus on other things to sort of get passionate again about Star Citizen and spaceships and stuff. So totally healthy. I recommend everyone do it from time to time. It's a good palate reset. So real quick, why don't we talk about the ever-present STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. So for those of you that know STARJUMP, you know that we are working on the Fleet Viewer. It's all these pictures here. And it's a project that's been in development since April of 2021. And if you've been following some of my past streams, you'll know that Myself and VMXEO, one of the collaborators for the Fleet Viewer, we finished all of our work, which means creating the ships for the Fleet Viewer and rendering them out and processing them at the correct sizes and all that. We finished that work in May, or by the beginning of May, I believe it was. And then the next step of the project started, and that was handing off to Starlet, who is in chat, who's a lot smarter than me. And Starlet's part of the job then begins, right? And Starlet has to take these hundreds and hundreds of assets, actually almost 1,000 assets, renders and stuff. She has to bring them into the back end architecture for the Fleet Viewer, get everything plugged in, built, assembled, but also do it in the right way and battle bugs and issues that pop up and stuff like that. And this was probably a little bit of fault of my own. Maybe I need a better PR person, but when we finished the Fleet Viewer ship assets, I really was telling people, hey, we finished our, a major part of the project. And I think people did think it was going to come out soon, as in like a week or two later. That is not the case, obviously. I want to give Starlet as much time as she needs to do her part of the job. And she's got her own work to do. She has a day job. She's got to pay the bills. And, the speed at which we can get Fleet Viewer out is dependent on our day jobs and our real life stuff. You know what I mean? And both Starlet and myself, for sure, we have up and downs in terms of our interest in Star Citizen. Sometimes we're in a cooling off period and we just got to do other things. And sometimes we're fully vested. But I think the important thing with Fleet Viewer, beyond just getting it out the door, which I know is what everyone wants us to just get it in their hands so that they can build their fleets and be happy. And that's what we want. We desperately want that. But with something that so many people are going to touch, we hope thousands of people will go to the website and engage on it. We have to do it the right way. We have to build it the right way. We have to make sure every edge case scenario is worked out. Things, for example, that you maybe wouldn't think of, like how to add duplicates of ships if you own more, like multiples of the same ship. Is there a hard cap on the amount of ships you can see? Is that hard cap determined by the app's performance? And then how do you determine that performance? What are those metrics and stuff? So there's a lot that goes into that. And so Starlet is, working on that stuff. We are going to, of course, give her as much time as she needs, because the goal of this is not to get it in everyone's hand quickly. It's to get it in everyone's hands correctly so that when you use it, it works. The other thing, Starlet has to keep in mind, and I have to keep in mind, and we all have to keep in mind, is that ships are constantly, new concept ships and straight to flyables are constantly coming down the pipe. So we have to make sure we're building in this in a way that's easily updatable. So if a new ship goes straight to flyable, after it's announced, maybe a day or two later, we're able to plug it in to the Fleet Viewer. So there's a lot of back-end stuff that has to be thought about. And, that's the type of stuff that's going on. So that being said, that's a little bit of 1 second here. So that's what's going on with Fleet Viewer. I probably am doing, I haven't totally landed on this, but I'm probably going to do a Fleet Viewer presentation soon too. And I had a couple requests to go a little bit more behind the scenes on the development of some concept ships, and I plan on doing that. So I'll let you know. That being said, though, that is the update on Fleet Viewer. It hasn't gone away or anything. I know we went quiet on it for a little bit, but it's still very much in development. As a matter of fact, it's so in development. I can pop it. Let me grab something for you. Still very much in development. Where's that render? We did just finish. Let's see if this pops up. Can everyone see this? Hopefully you can see it. Nope, you can't see it. That's okay. I'll switch over to it in just a second. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah, so still very much in development. Here's the Anvil Centurion that people have been able to check out on the PTU at this point. So again, these are the Fleet Viewer assets for it. Still well in production, still making sure we stay on top of all new stuff that's announced and whatnot. So either way, if you have any questions about it, you can always post them in our Discord or DM me directly. If you have a question about Fleet Viewer, I'm happy to answer. Obviously, the question of when it will release is something I do not know yet, because I am going, I want to release it the right way. So that is something I can't totally answer, but hopefully soon I can answer that question. One thing I know we want to try to do sooner rather than later is to get some sort of build actively going that can maybe be publicly shown. But again, we're going to let Starlet get through it at her pace. I know she's working extremely hard and has a very, very busy, day job and whatnot. So big props to Starlet for continuing to push on this project that obviously a lot of people are excited for. What else? So I caught you up on me and what I've been doing. I caught you up on Fleet Viewer a little bit. I did want to say to anybody that's in chat that's a part of our Patreon, as you know, I was a little bit delayed in getting out June tier benefits because I was sick, and then things just started rolling and delaying. I was barely on the computer, so a lot of that stuff got delayed. However, I reached out to a lot of you personally in just the last probably 3 or 4 days and talk to you all about specific benefits. I know one of the ones I reached out about just in the last few days was the merchandise. For those of you that have, I think it's the $50 and $100 tier, you get 1 or 2 pieces of free STARJUMP merch. All that has been sent out. So the way Teespring works is once those orders have been placed, they create them and then they ship out. By Teespring. I don't touch them at all. But Teespring doesn't ship out daily. They ship out like every 3 days. So what that ends up meaning is it means your merch item will either be, it will either start shipping in as few as 1 day to as maximum as like 3 or 4 days, just depending on where you're at in their shipping cycle. But I know for Griff and Lisa, and I'm not sure who else is in that has merch orders, those have been sent out, 100% been sent out. Obviously, I did the June wallpaper. I still owe a couple of people 4K custom wallpapers. I am working on those. There was a slight delay in that because... so here's another funny thing that happened that affected my ability to do STARJUMP stuff. I lost the license, or my license for Cinema 4D, which is what I use to create all the 3D stuff, got corrupted, and I couldn't open the software, and I couldn't just buy a new license. They're about $600, and I already had a license, so there was no need to buy a new license. So I had to work with Maxon for about a week to get that resolved. Something occurred with my license where it could not connect to my billing account with Maxon, which is an enterprise account. I do business through there. So it couldn't connect and talk to each other. So I couldn't use 3D software. And that's what delayed the 4K custom wallpapers. But I'm gonna shout out to everyone on everyone in the STARJUMP patron group. Everyone was supremely patient and just very understanding about everything that was happening to me with COVID and all that good stuff. So once again, appreciate it, everybody. If you are due things or were due things and had to wait a few weeks longer than what I intended. I am going to be getting the July tier benefits started this week as well. So for those of you that are due 4K wallpapers, you're probably just going to get both June and July at the same time. So we'll catch up, though. We'll definitely catch up. It was just a confluence of problems that all happened in June. June's been my craziest, hardest month. I haven't even opened Star Citizen in since probably before Invictus Week. So it's been quite a while. Let's see here. Oh, it looks like we got Loud Guns. Loud Guns was just, as you know, talking about Patreon rewards that definitely have yours being worked on and worked out. I think I contacted you, all that good stuff. So for some reason, my chat just updated, so I just got a ton of chats. Anyway, see Mud Dog's in there. Hope you're doing well. But again, that's the update. I do apologize for being sort of out of the loop for most of June. But I am back now, back in the saddle, and we'll get back on top of STARJUMP stuff. I was just talking with Ender the other day. We do want to get back to Chronicles. If some of you are wondering why Chronicles kind of ground to a halt, we had actually done a lot of recording for it and captured quite a bit of great stuff. The reason Chronicles ground to a halt is because some of the stuff we needed to capture for Chronicles there was an issue with the server tick rate, I think, that was causing problems with character walk cycles. So we couldn't get certain scenes that we really needed to get. So we kind of just paused it. Now, from what we've heard, the servers are doing much better in that area, so we're going to circle back to it now and see if we can't get those remaining shots we need to get and start stitching that together. VMXEO, salute to you. Hope you are well. I just showed off your Anvil Centurion. Very nice job, as always. Lisa, thank you very much. Yep, family's feeling better. That was the other thing. My family got sick, and so I was also taking care of them. We all had COVID, so it wasn't even just me. And I got to tell you, the fatigue was brutal. I would actually have mostly a good day, and then suddenly around 7 o'clock, about the time I would start thinking about gaming, the fatigue would set in, and I couldn't do it. I was too done. Sean asks, still planning to do the 32x9 ultra wide wallpapers? Yes, I am, Sean. I'm planning on doing that. And another thing I'm going to do, so for June and July, I'm going to give everybody those, right? I'm going to actually, thank you for reminding me, actually. So let's talk about that real quick. I'm going to alter some of the tier benefits. And the reason I'm going to do that is to be able to give some of the lower level patrons, even the $2 mark, trying to give you all some stuff, because the $2 and $5, you don't really get much for that other than a thank you. And I don't like doing that. I don't like taking money where I'm not giving something back. So what I want to do is the wallpaper, just the basic wallpaper that I do every month, I want to give those to everybody. And then as you go up in the tiers, you're going to get higher resolutions. Now, June and July, I'm going to give everybody the high resolution one. Everyone gets kind of a freebie. But for August, I'll be altering those tier benefits. I'll be doing some editing on those. And no one's going to get anything less, by the way, with the edit of the tier benefits. If anything, you're going to get more. But the basic idea is that the higher tier benefits you go, I'm going to give higher and higher resolution wallpapers all the way up to, like, I forget what it is. I forget what the resolution is. Like, it's going to be like 10,000 pixels by something. I mean, you're going to be able to do super ultra wides, all kinds of cool stuff. So Bingo has strep. Sorry to hear that, dude. Strep sucks. Luckily, no one in my family has gotten strep in quite a while, but that's always a brutal one. I'm catching up on some chats here. I don't know why my chat wasn't working earlier. Uh, Everyone who asked how I was doing, thank you very much. I am feeling much, much better. And I'm not sure if he's watching, but big shout out to Ender and Driz Taloth for helping me kind of get back into some gaming. The past week or two, we played some golf and Monopoly, and it was a lot of fun. So, one second. Anyway, so big thanks out to them. Big thanks to Starlet as well. I know I already said this, but I'm going to say it again. Starlet, just like anyone else, we all have up and downs with Star Citizen. Sometimes we're really into it. Sometimes we're not. I think it's very healthy to take breaks and step aside every now and then. And Starlet has, been keeping her pulse on the Fleet Viewer project and stuff, while still dealing with all of the other stuff she's got going on. So big thank you to her. Big shout out to her as always. I did want to touch on a couple of other STARJUMP projects real quick, not to go through a whole thing about this, but STARJUMP Station. We haven't done that in quite a while. There is a reason for that. And part of the reason is I wanted to retool the show a bit and do something a little different with it. Instead of it always being a live stream sort of thing, I'm doing some retooling, and I'll be able to announce more on that soon. Probably not this weekend, but probably next weekend I'll have a better idea of what I'm going to announce on that. But essentially what's happening with STARJUMP Station is we will still have a live stream show every now and then. As a matter of fact, I'm attempting to get a guest right now that will be pretty awesome. Actually, I'm just going to say leave it at that. It'd be pretty awesome if I can land this person. But the STARJUMP Station is not going to be just a live stream show anymore. I think it's going to be an amalgamation of content in the form of pre-recorded shows, maybe a podcast, maybe it's the live stream, and it will differ just depending on the format I want to release it in that particular week or whatever. And that's how we're going to go forward with it. If you know STARJUMP, you know that we are very different from almost every other content creator or content creation group out there. Unfortunately, to our detriment. Most content creators rely on consistency, getting the same thing out all the time. We don't do that. We are only going to get out stuff that we think is unique, says something different, has high quality, and again, just bring something new to the table. And if we don't feel like we're doing that, then we're not going to release it, and we're not going to put forth the effort. There's too many content creators out there that you can go watch them do the same old thing all the time, which is great, awesome for them. But we are only going to do things if we can put our own unique spin on it, or if we feel like we have something unique to say. So, okay. What else do we have here? Let's catch up with, let me see, what does this say here? Bingo, hope Penny is holding up well. Stay hydrated, stay safe, take care of yourself, take care of fam. Obviously, the STARJUMP fam is thinking of you guys. Hopefully you get well. It'd been a while since I've been sick, and then suddenly COVID just slapped me. Actually, you know what? COVID wasn't that bad for me personally. It was just kind of like a bad cold. Same for my wife. But what was surprising with COVID was the fatigue. Just this sort of feeling tired all the time, and it was feeling tired, but also just sort of like, I don't want to do anything. But in terms of the actual sickness, it wasn't that bad for me, luckily. Cool. Thank you, Mud Dog. Appreciate it, bud. Hope you are doing very well. All right. So I was going to talk about a few Star Citizen things. Let me rearrange some windows here. Let me switch over. Obviously, the Foundation Festival is going on. Has anybody participated in that yet? Anyone done any of the Foundation Festival stuff? I kind of like the paints, the kind of chrome and black paint job stuff. So I kind of want the paint jobs. So I think me and Ender were thinking of like teaming up this weekend and busting through that, and attempting to do it. So let me go ahead and vent for a minute and get everyone in chat's opinion on this. So the whole Foundation Paints thing, I'm a little unhappy with how CIG is handling the whole paint thing. I feel this way with Best of Show. I feel this way with Invictus to a degree, and I definitely feel this way with the Foundation paints. For these special event sort of things, CIG really needs to land on unique decals and unique liveries that are not just color fills, on the existing primary, secondary, tertiary paint schemes. Color fills on those, to me, are going to either nullify or completely hurt the whole custom paint thing that supposedly we're still getting. I mean, John Crew said that we were still going to get this. But John Crew also said that paints that have already been made for special events are not going to be able to be created in that system. That could change, but that's what he said so far. So what that means is every time CIG uses just a primary, secondary, tertiary color switch for these events, it locks us out of yet more and more paint schemes once we do have the ability to go to Cousin Crows or whatever and change the color of our ships. And I don't understand why they're taking that route when very easily, well, somewhat easily, they could create a paint job or livery that actually has unique decals on it. For example, maybe it's the big Foundation Festival, torch with, the date of this year's on it or whatever. There seems to be a lot of other ways to do that. And so I don't particularly love their approach here. They did the same thing with the Best in Show paints. I mean, it was just like a darker blue paint job. It's like, well, what's going to happen when people want to create that paint as a custom paint in the future? So I do wish CIG. So here's also a critique on CIG's current communication thing. So we get shows like ISC and Calling All Devs, and we get Q&As that are posted on the forums, and people can post questions. But system questions, I feel like, hardly ever get asked the right way or answered. And fundamentally, we do kind of need to know how this paint system is going to work. Primarily, and among other things too, primarily because a lot of people buy into ships with real money with the expectation that we're going to be able to do that because it was told to us like 6 years ago, So for some of those things, I do want CIG to clarify what the plan is. So let me give you another example of that. Take a system like, Death of a Spaceman. Now, that's a system that I'm fine with CIG iterating on, changing completely, whatever, because we don't buy into anything with that. Like, I'm not paying real money to keep my character artificially alive. But on things related to ships, I do think are in a category of their own because people have put in real money to pledge for, I know, the development of the game, and the ship is yet just a reward for that pledge. But people are buying into ships with the idea of this functionality, and it'd be good to get some updates on that to make sure it's planned. Now, to be fair, John Crew did say it's still very much going to happen. But when you see Foundation Festival paints like this, it does get you concerned. It makes you wonder if when you go to get to Cousin Crows to get a custom paint job, or there are only going to be 6 available because those are the only 6 that, CIG hasn't thrown a paint on for some event. And, events are just going to get more plentiful as we go on. I mean, nowadays, I remember when I was growing up, there was a few holidays. Now there is a holiday for every damn day on the calendar. There's, Cat Spitting Up Furball Day. There's Clown Nose Holiday. I mean, there's a holiday for everything, and you can bet that CIG will add ways or add holidays as we go too, or not even just holidays, but events and other things. There's already quite a few actually, and are they just going to keep taking those primary, secondary, tertiary fills? We'll see. And the way the ships are built, there's usually a palm, like a palm decal layer on the ships. VMXEO can probably correct me on this. But there is a separate palm decal mesh in order to put decals on ships. Now, it's not the entire ship. It's usually small designated areas, and usually those are taken up by existing decals. But CIG could, just in the for the ships that it's affecting, or in the 140 ships, they could create very easily. I mean, it really wouldn't take someone a long time to do this. Create just another blank palm decal location on most ships. I think that would be pretty easy. It's just an area of the ship that a decal could easily go on. They could easily choose a part of the ship too that's mostly flat, right? Like, for example, if it's a 600i, maybe it's on top of the 600i. Somewhere that's mostly flat where they can put a texture without having to work too much with UVs and getting crazy with the wrapping and all that stuff. But, Texas says here, please give us the ability to put our org emblems on the side of ships. I'll be honest with you. I doubt that'll ever happen. And again, VMXEO can chime in on this in chat, but I doubt that'll ever happen just because of the way the textures are, the way decals are currently put on the ships. They're done with a palm decal layer, and it's only set up to accept the current decals. I mean, the only way you could, I guess, really do an org emblem would be to have that texture be able to be dynamically switched out, and your decal would replace whatever the current decal is. Otherwise, they have to go through all the ships again and create that real estate for your org decal to go. Now, World of Tanks probably built the tanks with that idea in mind, because I know it's a multiplayer PvP style game. I don't, at least from what I've seen on how the ships are built, and I know myself, VMXEO, and probably some others have really dug into how the ships and Star Citizen are put together. I don't know if it's possible. I think it would be extremely difficult. As a matter of fact, I'm concerned that it's so difficult that is the reason we're getting event paints like Foundation Festival paints that are just color fills. I think CIG probably would like to do more emblems and decals. I'm concerned they can't do that though, because the mesh real estate is not built into the ship's files. Doesn't mean there's not space on the ship for a decal. It means the ship does not have a space set aside for that. That may be something I can show you all in 3D here in a minute, and kind of show you how that works. Scott says, would they use the same tech they use to place our ship names? So here's the difference with that, Scott. And well, it's not really a difference. You could be very right. It could be, and you know what? I'm going to see if I can find something. Let's dig in, shall we? Let's all dig in. Old Grim likes to get into ship files, right? So let's open something up here. What could we open up? Just bear with me here, everybody. I am going to open maybe this ship. Let's go over to Cinema 4D. Let's bring our razor. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it will. Okay. All right. Can everyone see this? Can everyone see what I'm doing? Okay, cool. All right. Let's dig in. Let's dig in. Let's clear a few things here off this beautiful MISC razor. We're just going to delete the landing gears for a minute. And we are going to, okay. So the MISC razor is a ship that has a lot of decals on it. Okay. Obviously it's a racing ship. So when you look at its model, its game model, which is what this is, you'll see these squares right here. These are decal meshes. As a matter of fact, let me click on that on the hull. Let's go to the hull, and it looks like that's possibly the third from the last texture. Yeah. Okay. So these little triangles you see here, these are selection tags or polygon selection tags in Cinema 4D. And essentially what that means is a certain selection of polygons are, so let's say the window here, the glass in the window, that has a selection tag. As a matter of fact, I can probably grab it, which is this one right here. Let me go to my polygon mode here. Everyone stand by. Okay. And let's say let's see here. Yep. So when I tell it to choose the glass and who select polygons, you'll see this highlight. See how that highlighted? Okay. I can click on that selection tag and literally grab that area. It's a specific piece of real estate. And I'm explaining this terribly, but you get the idea. But when it comes to decals, which are, let's go back to our decal tag. So here's the hull of this ship. And I select my my MISC Razor Material Decals branding, and I hit select polygons. Boop. You can see it highlighted all the areas of the ship that have a decal or a sticker, right? Or maybe where you'd put your org emblem. Now remember, the MISC Razor has all these decal areas because it has a ton of decals. But if you took another ship like, let's open up another one. Maybe something like the Reliant. Let's open that up. Stand by. Okay. Let's, I'm just going to kill a few things here. Some internals. Okay. So let me turn off joints. Okay. So if I'm looking at this MISC Razor, it doesn't have as many areas for decals. Now it has a few, like this black area right here, this black square is probably one. So if I click there, let's dial into it here and see what we're looking at. This is the wing. It's one of these textures. Stand by. Sometimes it takes a minute to find it. Okay, here it is. It's this last selection tag, and it's called MISC Reliant Exterior Material Livery Decals. Okay, so when I select that, it highlights. Okay, this is the only piece on this Reliant that has a decal. This area and this area. There might be some under the wings too. Yep, under the wings too. So there's two there. Now, they could have you put your org logo on there, but it would only go there, and it could only go in at this size. You could not have your logo cover the entire wing, for example. This is the only piece of real estate that the logo can go on. That's it. Okay. But for that to even work, they have to have this dialed in to where that logo can be replaced dynamically, okay, and work over a multiplayer server meshing environment. I haven't seen any indication in the game files that it can do that. I don't think these 3D project files for the ships are set up in that way. That means nothing. I am not an expert on how CIG does their ships and their backend technology. I'm just telling you what I see. I don't think, ship decals, custom logo, liver, like custom decals for your org. I don't see that being a thing. I could definitely be wrong. But I think it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Let me go back to this. So anyways, Foundation Festival. I know there, and here's that little torch icon, by the way, that they could use as the decal. And if it is on there, I don't see it, but I could be wrong. It uses the guide system. I've actually only done the guide thing one time, and the person was having a lot of trouble, and we didn't end up finishing. They did change the requisites to get the paints. So if those of you didn't realize, I think before you had to do 5 unique 30-minute runs in order to qualify for the paint. Now it's just a single one. You think you just have to do a single 30-minute run and be endorsed for those categories to get it. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I'm pretty sure that's what they changed it to. And I think that was a fantastic change. I know Xylo had chimed in and said something to the effect of, hey, we heard you. The amount of work you have to do for some paints is ridiculous. We're going to revise that. And there's also an imbalance in the amount of people wanting to be guides and the amount of people who need a guide. So I'm really happy they put it down to 1. Again, I don't mind paints being out there and earnable in game for doing stuff like this. Unique paints that are locked away. I think that's a fantastic idea. But it shouldn't just be a color change. I think it's just not a strong way of doing it. I think there needs to be decals and some unique stuff. Maybe it's unique patterns, whatever. But that's something I think they do need to kind of look into. Starlet says, could they add imaging support into their shaders for the whole ship? Possibly. However, I still, you know what? I'm going to go so far as to say no on that, Starlet, because in order to properly do the decal, I think they need a UV map for the ship. But that's not how textures seem to be applied in Star Citizen. So what's going to happen is even if you applied the decal to secondary texture, like as a secondary texture assignment, your decal is just going to appear all over the ship and be cropped and crazy and all kinds of terrible looking. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Now, with the names on the ship, first off, the names on the ship are only on a few ships, and they're building that piece of real estate as a palm decal into the ship files. They could do that for guild or like org logos, but I think it would be I think it would have to be limited ships for them to be able to get to it, unless that is part of the gold standard pass. But I looked at a gold standard ship game file and I didn't see anything that looked like it would lead to custom decal support. Again, could totally be wrong, but I'm not seeing that in the files. I'm not seeing it. All right, so Foundation Festival, that's going on now. I think it runs to somewhere near, let's go back. Where does that run to? Is it, I know it's the end of July, something like that. July 25th. So you have till July 25th to work on this. And let's see here. Let's see what it's. Okay, so with the completion of a single guide session in a particular category for both the guide and recruit, you will earn a paint. Multiple prizes can be claimed from a single session as the reward is based on the recruit's endorsement. So if the recruit endorses you on all categories, you'll get a paint for all categories. So, last but not least, let's. I did want to talk a little bit about Star Citizen progress and Squadron 42 progress, and just kind of the roadmap roundup from last week. get anyone's opinion on that here. I got a few. Let's see. What is everyone saying? Could they just allow us to change the palette itself for any particular texture set? So I think that's what they're going to do, Jaybird, or at least what they said they're going to do with that new hard surface paint system they set up. From what I can tell, ships are essentially broken up by a primary, secondary, tertiary color scheme with additional colors that probably can't be altered. And what I mean by that is, let's take the Anvil Carrack, right? So the Anvil Carrack, you may be able to change the top hull color, so where it's white generally, and that secondary color, maybe it's the red striping that's on the Carrack, but the overall darker charcoal gray that's like on the complete bottom side of the Carrack, I don't know if they're going to let you change that. And the reason is that their textures are based off materials, right? So they have metals, they have rubbers, they have plastics, they have composites and all that. And it just depends on how much level of control they're going to give us there. I think we're going to be limited to primary and secondary color changes, with the tertiary color staying the same or something to that nature. That's what I think. Let's see here. Starlet says, VR chat has opened my eyes to sane, self-preserving uploading of content to multiplayer environments. Quite amazing and glimpse to future things. Yeah, I would agree with you, Starlight. I think the big difference with Star Citizen is the project didn't start that way. So ships weren't started with that mindset. And again, I think the game's just the evolution of it's twist and turned a bit, but if they were started from a start point again where customization was a focus of ships, then I think they could build in a lot of really cool stuff to be able to like upload and change your ship in that way. I just don't think it was thought of in advance. Let's see here. Stinkfinger says they have the hull being changed by gunfire, so maybe they can do some kind of paint that way. Look, never say never. I totally think CIG has interesting ways of handling some of the stuff. I think that the whole gunfire and salvage lasers and all that, I think that is working on more of a essentially an alpha channel sort of system, an alpha channel being black or white. Black is off, white is on, grays or anything in between. And when a salvage layer shoots the side of an 890, it's essentially turning the value of a texture from 1 to 0. And by doing that is turning that mesh not off, or it's not removing the mesh, it's just making it invisible, is essentially what it's doing. So it's creating the illusion of hull stripping or something like that. So I think it's just an alpha channel thing. We actually use it a lot in 3D too, where we'll create alpha channels on a ramp. And if you pass that ramp through something, and it's just a gradient ramp, a black to white gradient ramp, things will go from 0 visibility to full visibility, or full visibility to 0 visibility. Now that's not to say you couldn't take a gun and fire shoot essentially the shape of your logo into a ship. That I can already see that happening. But essentially all you're doing is shooting ones and zeros at a ship and telling it to make certain parts visible and certain parts invisible. That being said, I did want to turn real quick to the roadmap roundup, talk about that a little bit. I did see that vehicle tractor beams have been added to the EU-PU gameplay feature team and the weapons content team. This will affect a lot of ships. However, I think this is obviously something major to do with. Let me just open up the roadmap here. Let's go down to the EU vehicle content team. I think that primarily has to do with our old friend, the Argo SRV, which is currently in development. Its primary function as a ship is its tractor beam. So it made sense that they're going to get the tractor beam in development, because without it, this ship literally has no reason not only to be flyable in the game right now, but has no reason to even exist. This was, so that's key. So it didn't surprise me that that is getting into the game. I guess the only thing that's a little surprising about it is why we need the SRV right now. I would hope that it's because of Pyro, and I would hope it's because I would hope it's because we're going to get some carriers in the game, stuff like the Liberator or the Kraken or something like that. Otherwise, I don't totally know why we would need this ship. You know what I mean? So yeah. Stinkfinger says, can't change the color instead of invisible. You could. Yeah, you definitely could. If you could, but you're still making it invisible to reveal a new color. So it's still kind of an alpha channel type system is what I think is going on. And the reason I think salvage lasers and weapons fire is working off some sort of alpha channel system is when you've seen how alpha channels work in 3D and in visual effects for as long as I have, they have a distinct kind of look to them. And the salvage lasers and like the physical damage, like weapon fire on the hull of a ship, they have that look. They have that alpha channel expansion modulation kind of effect to them. I'm not using the right terminology for that, but it does look like alpha channel stuff going on. It's got a distinct look to it. Yes, we got vehicle tractor beams. Artificial gravity. This was pretty cool. If you go, it says implementing the dedicated functionality for items controlling the gravity per room of ships, outpost stations. This also includes player controls as part of engineering gameplay. This is a huge one for me, primarily because I am, if you were to ask me one of the, probably the top 5 things I'm excited for Star Citizen, engineering gameplay loop is one of them. The whole power relay system, being able to control artificial gravity, repair ships, all that stuff. To me, the engineering gameplay loop, I think that while missile operator mode is just an operator mode, right? The engine, I've heard people in the past refer to the engineering operator mode as that, but I actually think of the engineering gameplay loop as being an entire gameplay loop like mining or anything else in the game. The engineering gameplay loop could be really deep and have a lot of consequence in the game and really alter how the game is fundamentally played. So I'm super excited to see this. I hope we start seeing more and more of this come online. More armor being developed for Pyro. Always good to see. Shopkeeper outfits. We had a STARJUMP station that was all about fashion. Go check that episode out. That's important for getting more varieties and more role play into the game. Unified item ports. Renaming and standardizing character item ports properly was represented. Yeah. So swimming tier 0. Yeah, we got to be able to swim. I think we currently drown in the rivers and the oceans and stuff. Probably should be able to swim. Be cool if they put out an armor suit that was more of a deep sea diving suit. Yeah, give me those thumbs up, everyone. I don't know if that's what you are talking about, but hit like, subscribe to this, please. Some AI stuff they added, environmental space missions. Obviously, that was going to happen. New interdiction scenarios. That would be cool. Actually, I'd like to see something a little bit more interesting there. Physicalized weapon handling. So going back to the progress tracker here, a couple things that I think are sort of interesting. We have the Anvil Legionnaire that'll start entering development in October and goes to February. Which seems about actually, no, we probably need to go to this. So Anvil Legionnaire has obviously been in development a lot longer than what you were seeing on just the EU content team. But they're looking at February 2023 for this finishing, maybe. It may go past that, though. I'm not really sure if that is the end of their tracking or not. But Anvil Legionnaire going into the game quicker than I thought. That'll be an interesting ship to see. We also saw where is it? Stand by. Anvil Crucible got added to the vehicle content EU team starting at the end of February and moving to mid-March. Now, a lot of people instantly said, oh, well, that little bit of work, means it's not going to go straight to flyable. I wouldn't look at it like that. I think they just scheduled some work there for it. It may be cut off because they just don't have any more information or any additional tracking past this point. But it's a high likelihood that they would start working on this. And the reason, I think, is because I think we are going to need a repair solution for some time after Pyro launches to be able to repair ships. And when you're thinking of repairing ships, I don't necessarily know what the easier solution is, Vulcan or Crucible. While the Crucible is a bigger and more complicated ship from a functionality standpoint, we don't know where drones are in the in the development of the game currently. We don't know if internally they're fully working or not. So if the drones aren't working, the Vulcan's useless. Supposedly the Crucible is going to be able to hold some drones. I don't know, but at least the Crucible, you'll be able to move the little repair arms and repair things. And we know the repair gameplay loop is going to be the opposite of the salvage gameplay loop. So I think what you're going to see is the repair gameplay loop will be pretty quick for CIG to build. Quick in CIG terms, of course. But I think that'll be pretty quick to be built because salvage is the basis for it. They just need to do that in reverse. So I've been saying for a long time that we're going to need a repair solution out in Pyro. It's obviously a much more dangerous system. We got solar flares, all this stuff, but there's supposed to be less places to refuel and rearm and repair and all that stuff. It's a big system. We're going to need a repair solution for Pyro. So Crucible, I thought that was pretty interesting. Ben and Merchantman continuing its path on down into 2023 again. Who knows how far that ship's going to go into development? It could go all the way through next year for all we know. We have, our usual several unannounced ships in development. U.S. vehicle content team, very excitingly, is nearing the finish line. The Drake Corsair, as Starlet knows, Drake Corsair is obviously the best ship in the game, or will be one of the best ships in the game. I know Starlet would definitely agree with me on that, without a doubt. She's a huge Drake fan, and she's not scared to show it. But Drake Vulture is done. I know everyone's kind of eager to get that in their hands for 318, or mostly done. But here's another pretty exciting one. The RSI Apollo entering development really any time now, and that will go all the way through to next year. That could be a great ship. Again, I'm looking forward to the Pyro environment and what ships will be useful out there. A ship like the Apollo could be invaluable out there, especially if the Apollo is the medevac, the one that's got the tier 3. The ability to respond there would be absolutely huge for Pyro, or a system like Pyro. You're going to see everyone buying Apollo medevacs if that is the case. The Tumble Ranger, I know our good STARJUMP co-founder Ender is really looking forward to the Tumble Rangers. Those will enter development in October through to December. I'm hoping those get pushed out pretty quickly. I think I own one. Looking forward to that. The only other thing I've really been tracking when it comes to ships are space mines. And space mines began work in May, and they actually finished in June. So development is finished on those. And if you read the description, it says, in space, players in certain ships will gain the ability to release different types of space mines in coordinated fashion in an attempt to trap, damage, and capture enemies or set up defensive perimeters. There's only one ship that we know of that does that. Okay, that is the Aegis Nautilus. So if you've been following me, you will know that I truly hope the Nautilus is on track to be released at some point, maybe the end of this year or sometime next year. Space mines were the only blocker for the Nautilus to be put in. I think the Nautilus is already done from a ship standpoint. The ship is built, primarily because I think it's going to be in Squadron 42. They may need to bring it up to gold standard, add the light switches, all that good stuff, the room piping or whatever. Maybe they're working on that right now. But Space Mines was the only other real roadblocker. The other roadblocker was the size 7 twin guns on the nose, but as we know, it uses the same guns as the Ares Starfighter and the actual Ares Ion. So that gun is done. So there really are no roadblockers left for the Aegis Nautilus. So again, I do think the Aegis Nautilus will come out at some point. Now, the funny thing about Space Mines is they actually were on the schedule for much longer. I think they had an additional month of development going on them, but CIG ended up pulling back the amount of work on Space Mines. I was a little concerned about that at first because I was like, well, I wonder if that means they're just doing some work on them, but not finishing them off. But then what I did was on the deliverables tab here, I just went to, instead of Space Mines, I just went to Mines. And I noticed that they had a lot of other work with mines going on, not just Space Mines, but they've been working on proximity mines for quite a long time. And as we know, they worked on those laser trip mines for a long time as well. Now, those are already in. But the reason I think we saw Space Mine work decrease to 8 weeks is because I think a lot of the work for Space Mines was done with these mines up here. A lot of the tech behind the mines. What I think is going on here for the weapons feature team is I think they were developing the way in which we're going to be able to control mines, set them to passive or aggressive or whatever, however we're going to be able to set mines to seek out and destroy, set perimeters and all that, visualize that. I think that's what this 8 weeks was. I'm speculating here, but that's my thinking. I think the actual mine itself, the explosive nature of it, the charge and all that, I think was mostly developed here, and they were just able to adjust numbers. So when you look at Space Mine development, I think you can count this entire bit of work here that's been done on mines. And honestly, some of the work that was done on bombs for the A2 probably filters in here quite a bit as well. So, all right. That is our roadmap stuff. What else did we have? Let me switch this back over. Here. Again, that was mostly all I wanted to go over, was just catch up on the roadmap roundup. I hope we get an announcement on that Nautilus here at some point. I think that would be great. I think we need like a nice, I don't think the BMM is anytime soon. So I really think the Nautilus would be a great end of year ship. Jaybird says, shouldn't all exploration vessels have a minimum of mid-tier med bay? I personally think they should, Jaybirdman or Jaybirdmax. I think they should. A lot of people seem to disagree with me on this fact, but I actually think that tier, what's the lowest tier bed? Is that the tier 1? Is that the is tier 1 is like the Cutlass Red? I forget. Is tier 1 the Cutlass Red, or is tier 3 the Cutlass Red? I forget. Either way, the bed in the Cutlass Red, I actually feel like that should be like a hollow table or a Sempod. I think you should be able to put that in any ship that has the power in its grid to handle it and the cargo space to stow it. For example, if 3 is the lowest. Okay, thank you, Starlet. Okay, I'm getting 3 is the lowest and 1. Okay. Either way, I think the Cutlass Red level bed should be able to be put in pretty much any ship. I think if you wanted to throw one in the cargo bay of a Mercury Star Runner, you should be able to do that. I don't think the Cutlass, the tier 3 bed, I don't think it has enough gameplay effect that you shouldn't be able to do that. I do think exploration ships need, at the very least, a tier 2. Well, not the very least. They need a tier 2 med bed in them. I can't understand why any exploration ship would not have some sort of medical facilities on board. That seems quite silly. So yeah, that is my opinion on that. 100%. Tier 3 is the least severe. Okay, cool. Yeah, I 100% think the tier 3 bed should be just like a hollow pot or a hollow table. You know how you can buy hollow tables, or will be able to buy hollow tables at that Apple level store in Microtech, or you're going to be able to buy sim pods for your ships. I think that tier 3 bed should be the same. I mean, it's just a bed. I mean, there's, with a power supply, you plug that into the grid of your ship. I don't see why that should be a thing. I've had people argue with me on that, and say that that would affect the balance of the game so much, or it would nullify medical ships. I don't see that as being personally true. Throwing a tier 3 bed in a Mercury Star Runner is not going to make the Apollo obsolete. The Apollo and dedicated medical ships will always have an advantage. And for those people that look to the Cutlass Red, I actually don't look at the Cutlass Red as a medical ship. It is a Cutlass Black that someone painted red into a tier 3 medical bed. That's all it really is. I think Drake can market it all they want as a medical ship, but at the end of the day, any ship with a tier 3 bed is really just a ship with an IV in the back. You know what I mean? It's so I don't look at it that way. If I want to take an Anvil, or let's say if I want to take a Legionnaire, and inside of its closed-in hangar part, put 3 or 4 tier 3 beds, as long as they're drawing power from the ship and the ship has the power to handle it, I think I should be able to do that. If I wanted to turn the Legionnaire into a hospital ship, I should be able to do that. Now, a hospital ship in terms of just stabilizing patients and maybe to get them back to a bigger ship, or maybe Apollos can come and land on the Legionnaire and pick patients up that are being stabilized on a tier 3 bed. You know, I don't know. I think we should be able to make those decisions on our own, personally. We'll see. Let's see here. I was going to look at why we're just chit-chatting. We're just kind of chit-chatting, catching up tonight. Thanks for everyone that came and hung out for a bit. Just so everyone knows, I will post the link. You can always head over to our Teespring store, our merch store. I just posted that in chat, and check out our merch that supports STARJUMP projects. You can also go to our Patreon if you're interested in supporting us that way. We obviously appreciate any support you can and want to give. You do not have to give any support if you don't want to. We still love you. It's just if you want to do something that helps support the projects we're doing, whether it's Fleet Viewer, Chronicles, just producing cinematics, what have you. Follow those links and feel free to give us support, and we greatly appreciate it. I think we have some pretty cool Patreon stuff, and I'm about to do a big edit on that to kind of make that better, to where everyone at every tier can get something out of it. So appreciate that. Thanks, Jay Bird. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the thumbs up. So real quick, got a little bit more time before I peel off. I was going to go over PU monthly report for June. I'm going to skip a lot of this and just hit anything that I thought was good. Did anyone read anything interesting throughout this here? I usually catch a few things here. Obviously, art for ships is a big one that I like to check out and see where they're at. It says here, last month, the UK-based ship art team continued developing the Banu Merchantman's exterior. Significant progress was made towards finalizing the larger forms, as well as figuring out some of the finer details, such as the intake design, decorative patterns, and the cargo ramp. That's great to hear. Those of you that have seen our Fleet Viewer Banu Merchantman, which I can bring right now. Where is it? Stand by. Let me find it. Do I have it? Where'd it go? I had it. Maybe I can play this video. There's that plan. Yeah. As you know, the Banu Merchantman has these kind of gold filigree elements. You can kind of see them on the wings and on some of these areas. They're probably, so we've only seen that up to this point from a concept art standpoint, meaning they did a concept art pass, probably painted in a lot of these textures. What they're probably doing now is going through and actually making these textures, probably UV maps on certain areas of the ship. And drawing all those out. So that's going to be really cool. I love that attention to detail with the gold filigree stuff. The other thing it said was that they're finalizing form designs. Now, you probably saw recently that the Banu Merchantman had a slight wing change from where the wing now, instead of folding out, the wing telescopically goes in and out. I personally am not a fan of this, primarily just because it's completely unrealistic into how wings would work from a structural standpoint, like a structural engineering standpoint. Now, again, we could easily say this is a 1,000 years in the future or whatever it is and whatnot. But telescopic wings, there's a lot of reasons you don't see those in real life, and it's because they don't. For airplanes, at least, airplanes carry fuel in the wings, so you couldn't have wings telescopically go in and out because they would be collapsing the fuel tanks. Now, obviously, with the spaceships, that's not the case, but you would think with a spaceship going into atmospheric flight, you would want strong wings. To have strong wings, you need the inside ribbing of a wing. If you've ever seen a cross-section of an airplane wing, you would understand there's ribs through those wings. That gives the wing its strength. And with a telescoping wing, you cannot have those support structures inside the wing. So I think that's a little weird, unless there's something under the skin that's just a lot more complicated and stronger. That's like future tech. So either way, I still want the wings to just fold up. I don't think there's an issue with that. I know a lot of people said that wasn't alien enough. I don't really understand that. Whatever, it's folding wings. I didn't read that much into it. Or if you're going to do all the hover tech, like the kind of coning tower here, the turret tower, how these pieces are just going to kind of fly apart in anti-gravity, then why not just have the wings utilize anti-gravity and like disassemble and fold in? You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, it could be the anti-grav tech that lends support. Starlight, I agree. I just think the telescopic wing looks a little toy-like, and from a visual. So there's an interesting thing in architecture and engineering, especially aviation, where you want to look at something and instantly be reassured of its strength, right? And a lot of that is through something realistically being designed to be strong, and some of it is just to visually look strong, again, to reassure you. I just feel like the telescopic wings look very toy-like and a little flimsy and don't translate from a design perspective very well, but whatever. Again, it's totally subjective. And yes, you're right, Stank. It's just the tips. That's what she said. Jay Bird says not really filling the wings either. Yeah, again, it's a minor thing. It doesn't make me dislike the ship. You know what I mean? I own a Banu Merchantman. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm really excited for it. I don't like that one aspect of it. it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? There's aspects of probably every ship that I don't like, with the exception of the Drake Kraken, which I think is an absolutely perfect ship. Actually, you know what? That's not true. I think the Drake Kraken could use a couple alterations too. We're always going to have that feeling about certain ships. You know what I mean? And with the Abandoned Merchantman, that's one of them for me. I don't like the telescopic wings, but we'll see where they go with it. Let's see here. Team also progressed with final art pass on announced vehicle, which should be wrapped up this month. Remaining tasks include polishing the load and damage passes. That could be the Anvil Centurion. I don't know. Could be. Work on the Argo SRV moved into the Greybox phase. On the exterior, the team completed the hull, cargo lift, and entrance lift and made significant progress on the nacelles and landing gear. That's absolutely great. Inside Greyboxing continued for the cockpit, seat, and dash. I think we saw inside cockpit shot on like the inside sneak peek image that was sent out in the email. Again, with the SRV, you know, my big hope there is that, do I have that? Yeah. You know, with the SRV, I personally just hope that we're going to have a reason to use it, a reason to need it. So I'm hoping that, you know, I'm hoping that CIG at some point kind of comes out and says, you know, what the plan is with the SRV and what we're going to use it for. That would be great to see. Because obviously whenever they start working on these ships, they start selling a lot of them. You know what I mean? So when someone sees an SRV go into development on the progress tracker, you're going to have a lot of people try to buy it, right? So I personally hope they will come out and sort of address that and say, okay, here's what you're getting with the SRV. Here's what our goal is with it. Here's what we want you to be able to do with it. Because just like when they released the Raft or the Vulture or any of these recent ships, they've had a reason for releasing it. So I hope that's what this is going to be. Starlet says it'll be great for towing those Drake ships that broke down. That hurt, Starlet. That hurt a lot. I'm going to let it slide for now, but that did hurt. Development of another unannounced ship continued, which is currently in Greybox. June's focus was on the landing gear, exterior doors, cockpit, dash, and pilot seat. Cool. Yeah. Let's see here. They talked a little bit they talked more about the Gen 12 transition. I'm pretty excited about that because it does seem like that is going really, really well. And I know we're supposed to get some of the first big iterations of that in 3.18. So real excited about that. As someone who's running on a 5950X Ryzen, I'm pretty, and a 3090, even I'm excited about that. It would be epic, Jaybird. Let's hope. Characters and weapons. I don't. Let's see here. So, one thing I noticed with this is, now this is for characters and weapons. It says here, Star Citizen's long had the ground alignment system that ensures foot placement of a character correctly interacts with the environment. June saw the team looking into extending this system to hand placements, which is great. One of the things they took off the roadmap for a long time was the ability for ramps and elevators on ships to do that, be able to adjust to the terrain, and it kept getting removed. I really hope we see that come back soon. I don't think we've had an update on that in quite a while. There could be things with server meshing that affect that, reading that terrain over a network or something. So hopefully we'll see more of that soon. Vehicle feature team. It says here that they're continuing to refactor and redesign restricted areas. You know, my goal is for them not to really do much with that. I don't want restricted areas in the game. I think there should just be adequate punishments for flying and blocking those areas. Maybe some sort of EMP that automatically takes out your ship if you just are literally harassing a restricted area, or you get a crime punishment that's so bad that you become the biggest target on the server. I don't know. I think there's other ways to do that. I really hope the autopilot thing goes away. let's see here. They're going to do further tweaks on the new ground vehicle handling. Again, I think we'll see that as the Tumbrel Ranger gets developed. They're just going to constantly be diving back into that ground vehicle handling stuff. So that's exciting to see. I was going to go down to this one here. The Montreal team's been doing great work with the locations. I'm really excited for the Lorville cityscape for its redesign. Lorville is my favorite place currently in the game. I just love the vibe of it. Sounds like the cityscape is getting like a full redo, though. It's going through white box phase now. The outskirts of Lorville have been added and placed within the proper scale. They say here that it's much bigger, though, which is really cool. Like Lorville City will be bigger, so that's great. And they did things like revalidated Lorville's transit system to fit the new layout, a bunch of stuff. So that's really exciting. They talk about new crash sites with the 600 IM Mercury derelicts. That'll be cool. Getting more and more derelicts are going to be awesome. And I really hope those are just peppered throughout the planets. You know what I mean? Because even if they don't really put gameplay in there, just crash ships and things, it'll be fun to run across those. And it's going to make the environments feel bigger and like there's a story to discover. The CIG doesn't always have to dictate that story to us, but just leaving remnants of stuff sometimes is enough to make something feel special. So, what else? Anything else? There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Definitely catch up on it. Let's go back to my game window here. Yeah, so to wrap it up, my semi-fatigue sort of coming about again. StarJump's got a lot of cool stuff going on. We have Fleet Viewer still in progress. StarJump Station is going to be coming back, but in a new format. Me and Ender have been talking about a new show that we'll probably talk about pretty soon, that we're both excited about. Something that's easier, by the way. It'll only be about 15 minutes long, so it's something we could pump out pretty quick. And Starla is working hard, obviously. I'm back now. Thanks for everyone for staying very patient with me. All know I love you, and I'm sorry for having to be gone for so long. For all the Patreon supporters, again, thank you so much, and thank you for that patience of waiting for some of those tier benefits while I kind of got my shit together and took care of the family and stuff. So you'll start seeing me again. I probably will do some Star Citizen gameplay tomorrow. I'm going to jump in and check out a few things. I bought the Drake Mule, but I actually have not even checked it out in game yet. So I'm going to want to check that out and check out a few things. Maybe do some cargo runs or what have you. But it was great to catch up with you all. If you want to catch me playing some Star Citizen tomorrow, I will send out an announcement for that. I might do it on Twitch. I haven't been on my Twitch account in a while, so maybe it's time to get over there and warm up that engine. But all you StarJump people, really, really appreciate it. Big love from me. Again, thank you for all your patience over the last month. Big shout out to Driz to Loth, of course. I've been playing some games with her recently, and she was kind of like me in a place where she just wasn't gaming much and kind of just felt unplugged, and we got to do some gaming together and had a lot of fun and laughed, and kind of feels like your engines are revving back up. Also been doing a lot of talking with Ender again. We kind of didn't get to talk a lot because our schedules are so different and things were happening. So got back together with him, and you'll start seeing some stuff come out of that. Again, we want to announce something very soon. And then obviously Starlet working hard on Fleet Viewer. A lot of the big projects I want to do from Fleet Viewer to Fleet Command would be impossible without Starlet. She is the brains behind my ambition for sure. I probably have too many things I want to do, and Starlet's getting concerned. But anyways, big thanks to my StarJump, my other StarJump members who are always helping me with stuff. That being said, I'll catch you all tomorrow. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your weeks, and I'll be doing streaming tomorrow, possibly probably tomorrow and then possibly Saturday. I might see if Ender and Driz want to do some gaming, maybe some Phasmophobia on Saturday or something after their D&D, if they don't finish too late. So thank you all. Talk to you soon. Stay safe. It was great.